How to navigate family demands, criticisms, toxicity, influences, and expectations. Welcome to the Common Sense. We are at it again. So, how do you navigate family demands? I just say, how do you navigate family wahala?
Family wahala.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think it depends on like the type of family it is and the dynamics within the family. I think that's one thing. And sometimes you just have to stand your ground and say no. People might not like it, but I think at the end of it, I always say if they love you, then they'll get over it. Because you really do have to stand your ground sometimes. If not, you would just end up in, because I always say, right, whatever decision that you decide to make in whatever situation you might be in, it impacts and affects you the most. And I know that sometimes they might even be coming from a place of love and being well-meaning, but that doesn't align or that isn't what's suitable for you in that present moment. So you do have to take a hard line and sometimes be stubborn.
So that's
and be labeled as a troublemaker.
You're ready for wahala. So that's the demand aspects, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because you said a lot and touched on a lot. I think family demand. So we have to first and foremost be clear about what family we're talking about. Is it the immediates, your nuclear family, and being Africans that we are, the extended,
and
the
family.
extended. There's also the extended. You know that.
Well, yeah.
So those demands, and then there's also involved in this is the generational shift.
Yeah.
Because our grandparents came from a time that was different, where they mostly would have done things like Ubuntu. Like, okay, we came together, got money together, send you to school. Mm-hmm. You're the first coming out of us to go uni. So Nana is doing medicine. Now you're a doctor. The expectation is
you help them. Yeah.
You take care of your own nuclear family and the extended family, which is about 34 in numbers. Because the whole 34 contributed to you getting to school.
No.
So are you going to be using what you say, be a troublemaker and hold your ground? I'm not going to say assertive yet. Hold your ground against all of that.
But here's the thing, with that in that scenario, I always say there's a social contract, right?
Yes,
it might not be like a written down contract, but there's a social contract in the sense that you know that, okay, my family have come together and they've done this. And in the fact that they've all put money together, they've enabled me in some way to get to this point. I understand that this is the social contract and I need to give back
unwritten most times.
In some sort of way.
Yeah.
But I think is I actually joined that fine line where it's like, where does it end? Because you don't also want to help to your own detriment, because you also need to be able to have a life as well, and you also need to be.
But of course, I get that. But look at the juxtaposition of
if you don't have it in surplus, how can you possibly?
But again, look at the juxtaposition of that. We have contributed. Me, my family, your other siblings. Yeah. We've come together and say you're the brightest of all of us. I've been battling with using the hoe to harvest yams. We gave you this money, and you've now gone to school, and you've come out. You're a top medical boss or something. You're a director.
Yeah, but that's different.
And now
if I'm a top
I've gone
medical
to have
boss,
six children there and there, and we're saying it's your time to pay, and you're telling me what?
But here's the thing, right? If you're a top medical boss, right, that's fine. You at the very least you can budget a certain amount.
Okay.
Right. But here's the thing where I know that there's some people who perhaps haven't reached that goal. Right. So let's say you've just started out and I don't know, let's you're a junior doctor earning, we all know junior doctor pay is not that great. And then you're expected to live on that and also then send money back home. Sometimes you have to be realistic. If I'm a top MD and I'm heading a whole department, I'm going to have arguably more disposable income.
But even like that though,
I can be like, okay, yes, let me budget this amount. But then I think even that is also dangerous because you also need to be able to say that this is a budget that I have and I don't want to go above it.
I think okay, fine, social contract, like I can put myself in that position. I came abroad because I want a better life and also for my family.
Yes.
And that family was my extended. So my mom, my siblings, whatever comes with that, her grandchildren and all of that. before I even had my family. Looking back, I would say, okay, I was naive. I was
In what
oblivious.
way?
I was naive because I didn't know the future, and I made that social contract into the future of a future that was unknown to me.
Okay.
So I was oblivious to what was going to happen. I wasn't even thinking that I will have a family of mine. So it was easy for me to say, sign this social contract. Yes, I'm going to go abroad, come back, buy a car for you, take care of my brothers and all. But obviously, come here, and I wasn't even thinking they pay bills because the people who were here before me never told us we pay these bills. Always saw all the nice things. So now you're here, reality hits. It's now becoming difficult for you to explain to them back home, and that's what leads to the criticism.
Yeah.
You're not the only one there. Look at what Mama Osaro did. Mama Kainde did this. They send their daughter there.
Yeah, but
she's taking care of everybody.
What are they doing? What's Mama?
Exactly.
And some
They don't know what they're doing because they don't even know why they went to that medical school. They sent their daughters. So again, it's lack of information for them.
Exactly.
They're not being patient with you, and you going through the pressures of life here, real pressures. And now looking back and then saying, for F's sake, you guys are stressing me out. You don't know what I'm going through here. And they say, come back if you're going through a lot. We don't care. We sent you there. If you know it's not working for you, carry your bag and come back. And you'll be like, this is all toxic. What is this? So really, really, it can be really that. It can be that, and you'll be holding to them. And sometimes you throw the whole toys out of the pram and say, look, I'm done with this family. But then you go back again.
But I think, but here's the thing. And also, if knowing the position that our families are in back home, and I always say this, it's all well and good if they're self-sufficient and if they've got things going for themselves. Because I always say when you have family members that are self-sufficient back home, they do really well. But it's when you know it's when you know that they don't have it.
Yeah.
So you're sat there and you know that in terms of like, you're sat there and you're like, okay, yes, fair enough. Like, I don't have that much money, but you know that back home is worse than what it is now. And you know that at the very least, right? I always say in this country, if you fall on hard times, provided you've got your documentation in order.
You have state benefits and social security nets.
And I always say back home, sorry, there's
none of that.
There's none of that. You're relying on essentially people basically being kind and saying and being benevolent and saying okay, let me give you this, let me give you that. So you're really.
So actually now you can see why they die, and sometimes too you have become their endowment and pension fund.
I mean, because there is
we'll send you abroad. The moment you step your foot abroad, I'm no longer digging those holes, using those machetes to harvest my yam because Nana is there. She's going to take care of us. That's the expectation. And not being able to manage that of no fault of ours it brings that conflict about, and that, like, what is happening? Why is our own different? You know?
But it just comes down to the factors, and I'm not going to stop saying this. The infrastructure isn't there. Most people I know that are back home, I don't even think they have a pension.
No, they don't.
They don't.
So you effectively
so a lot of and I say this back home, that I guess the idea is that your children are essentially, they're your pension fund.
No, exactly what it is.
They are your pension fund. No,
exactly what it is. That's a very, very interesting one.
They are your pension fund.
It is what it is though, because at the end of the day, they've invested whatever little they have.
They have,
Even if they didn't give you financial gifts towards your goal. That prayer that they even open their mouth to pray, that's an investiture in your life, and they want something back.
Yeah.
And also the prestige to say our daughter, our son is there, the first of our kind, to have a degree in medicine or law or whatever.
Yeah.
They're proud of you. And that pride comes with wanting to show that off.
Mm-hmm.
What's the use of me going to the town meeting and saying, your daughter is a lawyer in London. You got nothing to show for it. Look at Chibuzo's daughter, who's in the same London. They've bought a house. So that shame can add pressure to them, and they come to you and say, what is happening, my daughter? What's happening, my son? Why is our case different? And they become toxic to you.
Yeah.
But you touched on something very important about our self-sufficiency. I've also told my siblings that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look, if all of us have something doing, we pull our resources together, we're all rich and better for it. But if every one of us are pulling on one, we're all
dependent on one,
broke.
exactly, yeah.
Because sooner or later, it's the crab in the bucket story. You're going to pull that person down with you. Because it's the only one.
God forbid, something might happen to them.
Ill health.
Yeah.
And this part of the world we are. It's not a forgiving word. It's not
No.
a kind word. You can't live on kindness in this place.
No.
It's an exploitative system.
Very
It's either you're the one
exploitative.
exploiting
Yeah.
or you're
Yeah.
one being exploited.
Yeah.
So you really can't live on kindness like, I'm hungry, you go to your neighbor and say, help me out with that. No. So it's a tough word. You're ill, you're ill. You don't have papers, you're done.
Yeah.
And most of the times, these people don't know that. So that's what breeds those toxicity, those criticisms, and those demands.
Yeah.
Not even thinking. Sometimes they don't even want you to start a family of your own because they think they own you. Why would you start a family? You haven't done. Look at my children. They're waiting for you to come take them out too because the money I should have used for them, I gave it to you. So you see all of these.
Yeah,
demands.
no. It is, but I always say that. I guess from my perspective, right? I haven't. This is not something I've personally experienced, and I think I'm kind of privileged in that way, in a bit of a cocoon actually, in that sense.
Hallelujah.
But when I hear, and I do hear like certain stories, like most recently, actually, I was talking to a mutual friend who was like in this situation where, like, I think because in Ghana, you know, when it's Christmas time, everybody call you me bronya dear, which is the concept of basically where's my Christmas gift? And he had his mum calling him, his sister's calling him, everybody calling him. This is somebody that at the particular point he has a child, and he was like, I'm struggling to deal with my kids' expenses, like trying to deal with.
Good luck with that.
And then literally his mum was calling him like, oh, you know, there's the house, we haven't done anything, we need to finish it, we need to do this. And this is a young man in his 30s. And he has this weight where he feels like he needs to provide for like everyone. He was trying to budget. So he called his mum and he was trying to say, oh, can you tell me what your expenses are each month so that I can send you this amount of money and know that this is going to cover everything. The woman could not give an answer. She was just going round and round in circles. But he just wanted like, let me know so I can start planning my life.
It helps you plan.
Yeah. Because if you tell me that, I don't know, every month, because you know on average how much you spend.
This story you said resonates with me. For example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 brothers back home.
Yeah.
And between them, I'm thinking sure their children are about 16, 17.
Yeah.
And so 4 brothers with 17 children. Those are my nieces and nephews.
17?
So between the 4 of them.
Okay.
I think my arithmetic is right. So 4 plus 17, we're looking at 21 entities on their own.
Yeah.
None of them are 6 months old. They're within the age where they can contact me on the phone. They all do. And they all expect 21.
20.
Just from my family. My mom is no longer alive. So we're not talking friends now.
No.
We're not talking friends and cousins and strangers online. We're talking just 17. Just because I'm connected to them as by blood, same parent.
Yeah.
So what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the sort of demands we talk about.
That's a
lot.
How
on earth are you going to do all of this without exploding on some of them and offending some of them? So I think at the end of the day, you just decide to say, no, I'm going to offend some of you. And
how has that gone for you?
You know, it is a reality. And it's not just me. I know people who come to me all the time, not mentioning their names, who curse and curse and curse and curse. It's like this thing is behold, and you have brothers and sisters going around saying, "It's a wicked person. It's a wicked person. We sold this to take them abroad. Nobody sold anything to take me abroad, by the way. We sold this for him to go. We did that for him to go. They asked him to go. I could have gone. If it's not working for you, come back. It is that toxic. There's recently a black UFC fighter or a fighter or something. He lost his fight, and he said his relatives were celebrating. They celebrated in his town, his hometown, back home in Africa.
What, that he lost?
Yes, because at the time they asked him for something, he said he didn't have to give them at the time. These were people he's been taking care of. No joke. He's on the internet. Wow. He said they celebrated in my village, my own cousins that I lost, just because one time he was unable to. This is how far it goes.
Yeah.
And it can even go further than that.
Is that Israel Adesanya?
No, it wasn't Israel Adesanya. It can be very, very toxic.
Yeah.
Very, very toxic.
But I think
they tag you names are bad. I have this bad uncle in London, or this bad auntie in London. What led to that nephew of yours who's never saw you or met you in our life calling you a bad uncle or a bad auntie is because of what their parents have told them who are your siblings, saying that uncle, we put money together to take them abroad, we expect them to do this, they're not helping us, that's why we're suffering. So they obviously introduce another angle, blaming their suffering on you.
Mental.
This is what we deal with. And this is why when we talk about black wealth, it's more dissipated, it's more spread out than in a central place. So we really don't see the wealth
Because you're being taxed.
because the wealth don't stay in our hands.
I mean,
it comes and it just goes like
you're
that.
taxed by the government, and then you're being taxed by your
own family,
by your family,
the so-called black tax.
Yeah.
The so-called black tax. So that is detrimental to our growth. And no one seems to see reason with it. It's also encourages a lot of wastage.
Yeah.
Because it's just give me. You even say, okay, now let's sit together. Let's look at this business that you want to do. That's even a waste. Because 2 months down the line, they're calling you to tell you that business failed. And you should give them money again to start the business. I'm like, what's happening? So these are things we hear on a daily. It's
but
really
I feel
toxic.
like sometimes there is this almost as if people, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like they would rather you give them handouts every month than for you to say, go do this, establish yourself, and then because it's almost as if they'll rather you give them the fish every month.
It is what it is.
Than for them to learn how to
it is
go
what
fishing
it is. Why
themselves.
should I go work 9 to 5 when I have an aunt like you in London who can send me £100 every 2 months? There's no point.
But
tell me.
But the thing is that £100 every 2 months, right? I always say this. What happens if I don't get that £100 in 1 month?
But they don't want to know that. They
after?
would then persevere. But you're there.
What happens if I get an unexpected bill?
They don't think that far.
Or if HMRC come knocking and be like, sometimes they send those letters.
They don't think that far. But also, I also do it the flip side and said, what if I was the one back home? Would I be the same pressure on them?
Would you? Do you think so?
I don't know.
But you know your personality. Because I always say, right?
If people might say, oh yeah, you're being economical with the truth. I know my personality. And I'm going to say it on TV.
Yeah.
None of my friends, their brothers, my cousins, uncles, whoever went abroad before me, none did I ever ask a dime or a penny from. Even when you dudes came from abroad, I never visited anyone. I was the one who ran away. I never visited uncles, cousins, my mom's cousins, because I didn't want no one to tag me a follow or a beggar. So that's my personality and I'm putting out there. I'm not lying.
Okay. So I feel like if you know your personality, you would know.
True.
Because I always say that, I don't know, maybe if I found myself in that situation, because I'm of the person of, I don't like asking for things, right?
Yeah.
I would rather people offer to do things for me, or if not, I'll figure it out. So I know for a fact that if I ever found myself in a situation like that, in my mind, I'll try it. That means for me to come and ask, at that point, I've exhausted or thought about every single possibility of me trying to figure it out on my own.
There's also no work ethics anymore. We talked about them being self-sufficient. When I was growing up, I left secondary school in 95.
Yeah.
Immediately, before 95, 93, I was already working with my brothers. From 1993, left secondary school in 95, I was full-time working. And this is what I did. What we call deratting. That's killing rats in businesses and places and farms. The snaking, chasing snakes, I did it. Pest control, I was fumigating, big tank on my back, doing all of that. And I'll come home, I had masks, big industrial masks for use. And the other one, which was quite a lowly and people really laughed at me for, was refuse collection. So we don't have these fine trucks. So we go around with Bedford pickups and trucks and the tipper one and load the bins and the shovel, the dirt on the thing and go tow them. Sometimes those tippers were broken. I'll be the one putting those rubbish back in the borough pit. So I did all of that. I worked. I dug graves. We did the dancing with the coffin. I never checked my duties. I dug graves. I dug where I pounded yam in people's parties so we could eat. No joke.
Wow.
I'm putting it on TV. People know me from where I come from.
Yeah.
I did all of these things. I carried wheelbarrow sometimes. My mom didn't know that because she wouldn't want us to go. And using machete to clear people's grasses in their compound, we did it. And I was proud of what I was doing and getting that money. I would come home feel big. I'll give my mom some. My brothers conditioned me to pay 2 of my siblings' school fees, and the rest I would sit down there and drink. I didn't have any girlfriend because nobody wanted to date the guy who was doing rubbish. So there's no more joy in honest labor because I converse with people. Nobody wants to do these things anymore.
But I think also, right, I think the thing with globalization and everything else, and I'm not going to stop saying this, is that everybody's on their phones, right?
Yeah.
And even if, like, even people that don't have money, they seem to have money for data. To be honest, no, seriously, it baffles me so much because they will never. But you have money to buy data, and data back home is expensive. But so everybody is like, obviously, because they have money for data, everyone's consuming this. This sort of I don't even know how to put it. This lifestyle, and sometimes you speak to people, and it's like, are you in La La Land? Like, how do you expect to be able to live this sort of lifestyle? Because sometimes something that I struggle with, and something that I can never come together, is somebody will be telling you that, oh, I'm struggling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But when you go back home and you see them, their lives, like their standard of living is much better than you. And then you're confused. You're like, wait, you...
Very.
No, I have genuinely asked the question of, like, how are you doing this? Because you're working miracles. Because, I mean, from what you're telling me, you're earning and everything else.
Something very important has increased.
But they're all doing this lifestyle thing. And I don't know how. And I just don't understand it.
You touched on something very important that's led to the toxicity and the criticisms. And some of it is our fault. Now, if you go on the internet and search for me, you will never see me just partying. It's only me ranting, doing stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's hardly you see me. I'll put a cigar or two there because I'm selling those.
Yeah.
What helped my generation was at the time we were there and people were abroad, we didn't get to see their lifestyle.
No.
They had to travel back 6,000 miles for us to come to their house and see an album. And I'm telling you this, I don't want to mention names. Dudes were saying, I've got 40 pictures in that album. Make sure no one is missing. So they're telling you, don't steal anyone. Yeah. That's the lifestyle we saw. Yeah. So before we see that again, it'll be another 10 years. So we quickly forgot. Now, if you went out with your friends just to have a nice evening, you're not spending or spending, people take your pictures and put out there, you'll be surprised. An auntie will just go, hey, I saw your daughter. Hey, she's spending money and she said she didn't have money last week. You'll be surprised. Everybody watching you now. And
honestly,
that is what it is. So you touch on something very
it's
important.
so funny that you said that, because I like traveling. And I always get little snide comments.
That's
like,
it.
oh,
that's
yeah, you
the toxicity.
Like, you have money, you're
that's
here, you're always traveling, you're always doing this. And I'm thinking, like, one. and sometimes I'm sat there and I'm like, okay, so what? I work so hard, right? If I decide to take, 2-3 holidays in a year, you don't know how or what I've saved. You don't even know how. Maybe I use my credit card. You don't know how I've paid for this holiday. But you've then made this assumption that because I've gone on these, and make like little snide like remarks and toxicity, even to the extent that sometimes if you're asking somebody like to do something for you,
they won't.
They'll now be like, you're always doing this and going everywhere.
That's
like
exactly what it is.
It's so bad. And then you're sat there like, are you okay?
No, they're following you.
What
every footprint. So what are the solutions?
Somebody cannot enjoy their life again.
So what do we now not post?
I don't know. Because
what are the solutions?
That is actually so true, because I've had little snide comments like that. I'm sat there and I'm thinking, excuse me?
So what would you be asking them to do for you that they will say that?
Oh, okay. So sometimes for instance, sometimes I like to call my cousins and then I'll be playing with them like, can you do this for me? Oh, it's my birthday. You know, just like how you banter with people. Like, and I'll never forget, for my 30th birthday, for instance, right? I told everybody that I don't want a gift, so I did like a fund where you could like put money in it for my birthday.
Oh, you had nerves.
I did, because I was like, it's my 30th, you know.
I have nerves.
I am quite audacious, okay?
Yeah, you have nerves.
I set up a fund and a link.
Oh my God.
And I sent it to my friends like, okay, don't get me gifts. My friends and family, close family.
Wow.
I'm like, just donate whatever you can, because I want to go on a trip. Like, I want to travel. But let me be for real, whether or not if they had contributed to that fund, I'd already booked my trip. But
I like that idea. I'm gonna try it. My birthday's coming.
And come and see that. Hey, the little snide comments I got. You that you have money, lawyer. Why are you begging for money? And I'm like, what?
Gosh.
I honestly was like, why are you begging for money? Why are you doing? And I'm thinking,
it is typical.
And I'm like, it's my birthday. Like, I just wanted something, and I only did that because it was a milestone birthday. Everybody knows me. Typically, when it's my birthday, I'll go and do my own thing. But I was like, it's a milestone birthday. It's my 30th. Just, a nice gesture. But once again, I know I was being audacious. But I was like, why not? What's the
Oh
worst that
my
can
God.
happen?
Well, I'm gonna do the same for my birthday and see what remarks I get. I'll come back to common sense and share the
I get a lot of remarks.
But-
And then there was one of my what happened as well, there was one time as well. I think I had gotten a it was probably when I got my training contract, right? To train as a lawyer. And I think I asked my cousin to buy me a bottle of champagne to celebrate. And then he was like, you have money to buy, why you can't afford champagne? Why come to comedy? But this is the same person that was at that time literally asking me that he liked my friend who paid for her tickets. And I'm thinking, what? I asked you to buy me a £50 bottle of champagne, and you basically told me that I work and I have money.
I'm gonna blame you for this. You didn't use your proper skill. I'll tell you why I blame you. I had a friend long time ago, off-cuff remarks.
Yeah.
He would never buy you drink, but he had more money than us. But his weakness was women. And one of my cousins came to stay with us. He liked my cousin. That was it. I just used my cousin as a conduit pipe. But my cousin now, that big head, went to fall in love with the money and everything and decided to go family way with the dude and emptied my own conduit. So yeah, you should have told your friend to go tell your cousin to buy you the champagne.
But it was just like, I was like, come on.
But you see, so it should work two ways. This thing you said, I've asked this question before. I don't call you guys on my birthday.
Yeah.
I don't tell you for Christmas. In short, I tell people I don't need anything for my birthday. Don't give me nothing. Christmas and all. Sometimes you don't even call to say, how are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But why do you think the demand must be on me? I get it. We live in a world where we have more than you. We go to work. It's organized. But if I say, I don't have, can you please not turn that into some sort of toxic thing and start cursing and say, everybody's doing for their own. My brother is not doing for me.
Yeah.
He's a wicked person. I will see him all the time online. I'm not lying if I tell you, my own brother who's gone out to ask other people for favor. Remember a friend or two or three or four or five and ask my elder brother's friends for favor. You want to know the remark they tell him? What they tell him?
What?
Jude is a big man. You know they see Jude online. Your brother is rich now. Yeah, your brother is raking it from YouTube and Instagram. Your brother is a big man. Look at how he dresses and how he talks online. He comes back to tell me, I look at him and said, 1, you embarrassed yourself. I take care of you guys.
Yeah.
Anyway. 2, good for you. 3, so these people are watching me. I don't see their footprint on the internet. I don't see them comment.
No comment.
I don't see their views.
Like.
So that means they're watching me.
Yeah.
I said, you see, they're all watching. They tell him all the time, Jude is a big man. Jude is a big man. Cousins, friends, and all. Jude is a big man. That's what they tell my people. No joke. Jude, your brother is a big man. Why are you asking me money? Go ask Jude. Come on, man. Every little helps.
Yeah.
This is what happens. So they watch your every move.
Yeah.
And they see, the other time, a friend of mine said, your belly is coming out. I said, is that all you see? You've never commented on my videos. You just saw my belly. I said, is it a bad thing my belly came out? It's a sign that I'm enjoying. So I shouldn't enjoy again. My belly, I should be slim and miserable before you leave me alone. But sometimes maybe that's what we need to do. We're talking about the solutions now because what did Jesus say? Whatever you want to do, your right, don't let your left hand know. Maybe you should grow in peace, grow in silence, grow in dark.
And to be fair, that's the reason why for the longest time, as you'd have seen, I don't really post as much on my social media.
Yes.
Because I'm like, honestly, like...
Yes, because there'll be people looking.
Yeah, and that's honestly why. Because I normally you'd see me. I'd post on Snapchat. I'd post.
Yes.
I would post all the time, and I hardly ever post these days. But maybe once in a while when I'm out, I might post something. And even a lot of the times now, all I do is repost to my story.
If I don't have stories to tell, I will never go on the internet.
I think that's the point I've gotten to.
Have you seen my family before on the internet?
No, actually, no.
I don't. Nobody.
No. That's actually one thing I was asking.
I tell people that I'm married. They're like, you're married? I'm like, yeah. You have children? I'm like, yeah. What tells you that I don't have children? They'll be like, I never saw you as someone who have children. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I do have children. I never post them.
No, I've never seen you.
That's going to be the avenue where they will come.
Yeah.
Look at him enjoying. His children living good life. It was us who sent you abroad, though. A little bit of that. Where does it end?
Where does it end?
Where does that toxicity end? So, wrapping it up, what are the possible solutions for this? You said something earlier, I think, being assertive. And if you have to be trouble for them.
Be trouble, yeah.
Refuse them, decline them.
No, yeah.
Hold your ground.
Because you know what, I'm not going to lie. I
Beat
like
your chest.
I recently had my traditional ceremony and I misbehaved small, but I don't care because I feel like it had to be done in certain moments. And I know I misbehaved.
I see that.
But
I
it was
get that.
because
No.
it was because it was
It's your own
because
words.
it was already like a really stressful, like
It's
it's
your
so
own words,
stressful.
but I won't say you misbehave.
Trying
It's
to
your
plan
thing.
stuff and then everybody come in with what they think and their ideas. At one point, I was like, "Oh, more show you everybody that has. I don't mind anybody having opinions, but as you have opinions, drop money too. If not, I'm not interested.
I want
because it's so exhausting.
I want to ask a question, probably personal, but
It's so tiring.
as we wrap up, but it
Yeah.
will lead me to my next solution before we wrap up. How young was you born here?
No, I was born in
How
Ghana.
young was you when you came here?
I was probably about 9, 10.
I see.
Yeah.
So you obviously were schooled, groomed, and trained in this society.
Yeah.
That gives you the opportunity to be able to be assertive and be honest. You know one thing we lack? We who grew up there?
Yeah, it's because of the way you're raised.
We lack honesty.
Yeah.
We're not able to tell people the truth.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to hurt their feelings.
And also,
so the solution is be prepared to hurt people's feelings.
I agree. But then also, it also comes down to the idea is that you can't challenge somebody that's older than you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if my elder brother, for example, let me use my elder brother or an older friend, is calling me, Jude, this, and this is somebody I always looked up to back home.
Yeah.
If I'm saying to them, I don't have, or they've asked me so many times and I've given them, I should be able to say, this guy, for the past 17 months, man, I've given you money.
Yeah.
Enough. I don't have.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I just keep saying, I'll come to you. And this is my biggest problem.
Yeah.
Not just for friends, for siblings and all. I think honesty is the best policy. Whoever asks God, that's a business.
Yeah.
You don't want to hit their head on the wall. I need to train myself to be honest with them.
Yeah.
I'm not intentionally dishonest, but it's little things like, this is my brother. What do I say? You've wasted my funds. You've wasted my resources for the past 10 years. I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Should I be able to be bold enough to say that or say, okay, we'll see how it will be next month?
Yeah.
On that note, I will end this because that's what I do.